Hello everybody, and welcome back to another mathematics video. In this video, we will be solving worded problems as simultaneous equations. So let's get straight into the meat of this video. So the first thing you want to do when you're solving worded problems as equations, or in this case simultaneous equations, you want to identify variables that you will use for the unknown. And after you're done identifying these variables, you come up with the two equations in this case. So you come up with equation 1, you use some information from the question, you come up with equation 1, and then you use the information from the question to come up with equation 2, using the same variables. And then you work them just like how you work normal simultaneous equations, and then you substitute back your answer and it should satisfy the equation. You just do that to check. So the hardest part is to come up with the equation. And then as long as you can solve simultaneous equations, you work from there. So let's head into an example. So this question says, a store sells pens and pencils. 2 pens and 3 pencils cost $2.70, while 5 pens and 2 pencils cost $4.50, or we can say $4.50. Now find the price of each pen and each pencil. So they want you to find what one pencil will cost and what one pen will cost. So the first thing we want to do, we want to identify some variables for pens and pencils. Both of them are P, so it doesn't make sense that we use P. So we can say one pen, that will be represented by X, and one pencil will be represented by Y. So 2 pens and 3 pencils together, that would cost $2.70. So we write that as an equation. So 2 pen would be 2x plus 3 pencils would be 3y, and that will cost $2.70. While 5 pens, so 5x plus 2 pencils, which would be 2y, is equal to $4.50. So you have two equations, equation 1 and equation 2. So of course you see the coefficients are not the same. So we need to make them the same. So first things first, let's identify which variable we want to get rid of. So we don't see any coefficients being the same for any of the same variables, so we have to make one the same. So we decide, do we want to get rid of the x or the y? So let's just decide on the x because that is easier to get rid of, which in the y is also easy, but it doesn't matter which one you choose, you will get the same answer. So to make these two the same, what we will do, we will multiply this entire top equation, which is equation 1, by the 5. So this entire thing will multiply by 5. I multiply the entire bottom one by the 2. So this is multiplied by 2. So 2x times 5 will give us 10x plus 3y times 5 will give us 15y. And this is equal to 2.70 times 5. So 2.70 times 5 will give us 13.5. And now we have 5x multiplied by 2, which will give us 10x plus 2y multiplied by 2 will give us 4y is equal to 4.50 times 2 will give us 9. And now we see these two are the same, so now we subtract the top equation from the bottom equation by subtracting the like terms. This will be 10x subtract 10x plus 15y subtract 4y is equal to 13.5 subtract 9. So 10x subtract 10x will give you 0. 15y subtract 4y will give you 11y, which is equal to 13.5. 13.5 subtract 9 will give me 4.5. So hence y will be equal to, 11 is multiplying the y. When we take it over the divides, we'll have 4.5 divided by 11. Hence y will be equal to, when we divide 4.5 by 11, we'll get a recurring decimal, 4.0909090, and it keeps going on. So we can just round this off to, 0.41. So y is equal to 0.41 when we round that off. So let's solve for x. So if y is equal to that, to solve for x, we can say we substitute y equal 0.41 into equation into equation 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. So let's use equation 1, which will be 2 multiplied by x plus 3 multiplied by y, which in this case 0.41, is equal to 2.70. So 2x plus 3 times 0.41 would give us 1.23, which is equal to 2.70. So 2x will be equal to, so this is adding, and take it over to subtract, we'll have 2.70 subtract 1.23, which will give us 2x is equal to 1.47. Hence x is equal to 1.47 divided by 2 will give us 0.735, and you can round this off to 2 decimal places. We can say x is equal to 0.74. So we have our values for x and we have our values for y. So we can say therefore 1 pen costs $0.74 and 1 pencil costs $0.41. And of course we can check to make sure our answer is correct. So you can do that check. We learned how to do the check in the previous videos, so you can do that. So you want to check to make sure your answer is correct. So in this case we kind of rounded it off. So our answer will be very close to the answer. Very close. Probably off by a few decimals, probably 0.1 or something like that. So your homework is to check. So let's move on to the next question. So this question says, a cinema sold 150 tickets for a movie. Children's tickets cost $3 each and adults tickets cost $8 each. The total income from the ticket sales was $900. How many children's tickets and adults tickets were sold? So they want to find how many tickets were sold. So first of all, let's use some variables to represent children's ticket and adult ticket. So we can say the children's ticket. So we can use the variable x to represent the children's ticket, and adult we'll use y. So first things first, we saw that 150 tickets were sold. Alright, so to get the number of tickets sold, the total number of tickets sold, we see we just have to add the total number of children's tickets sold and the total number of adults tickets sold. This will be x plus y is equal to, and we saw that 150 tickets were sold. So when we add up the adult tickets and children ticket, we'll have 150. So we can say children's ticket, which would be $3 each. So we can say 3 multiplied by the number of tickets sold, plus adult tickets cost $8 each. So it's 8 multiplied by the number of adult tickets sold. So it's 8 multiplied by the number of adult tickets sold is equal to $900. So they want us to solve this and find for x and y, how many adult tickets were sold and children tickets. So you can call this equation 1, you can call this equation 2. So of course we see in equation 1, x and y, they're by themselves, so we can just use the substitution method for this one. So we'll solve. So x plus y, so we make x is subject, or you could make y, it doesn't matter. So when we make x is subject, we'll have x is equal to 150 subtract y, and we can call this equation 3. So since we have x as a subject, now we take this here, since we already use equation 1, we take this and we substitute it in the one that we did not use as yet. So we can say 3 open bracket, instead of x, 150 subtract y close bracket plus 8y is equal to 900. So we can multiply now. 3 times 150 would give us 450. Subtract 3 times y would give us 3y plus 8y is equal to 900. So we can solve. So negative 3y plus 8y would give us 5y. That is equal to 900. So this is adding. So we take it over to subtract 450. So 5y is equal to 900 subtract 450. That would give us 450. So y is equal to 450. The y is multiplying, take it over to divide, divided by 5. So we see y is equal to 90. So if y is equal to 90, now we can solve for x. So we can substitute y equal 90 in either equation 1, 2, or 3, but we see 3, x is already the subject, so we substitute it there into equation 3. So we'll have x is equal to 150 subtract y, which is 90. So x is equal to 150 subtract 90, that would give us 60. So x is equal to 60. So to answer the question, we can say therefore 60 children's tickets were sold and 90 adults tickets were sold. And that is how we can solve worded problems as simultaneous equations. Step 1, we read the question thoroughly, we identify the variable that we want to use, and then we come up with two equations to represent what is going on in the statement. And then from there, we solve those two equations and we answer the question to start out with. So to end off, I will use one final question to end off. A market vendor sells apples and oranges. 3 apples and 4 oranges cost $5.20, while 5 apples and 2 oranges together cost $4.60. Find the price of each apple and each orange. So first of all, let's come up with our equation. So we have apple and we have oranges. So we can't use O because O kind of looks like 0, and that will be difficult to understand as we're working. So we can use A and B. So for apples, we will say A, and for oranges, we will say B. Simply because O is difficult to tell from 0. So we can say one apple is A and one orange is B. So the first things first, let's come up with our two equations. So 3 apples and 4 oranges together cost 5.20. You can say 3 apples, which will be 3A, plus 4 oranges, 4B. That would cost 5.20. While 5 apples, so 5A, plus 2 oranges, 2B, is equal to 4.60. Now we want to solve this pair of simultaneous equations, so we solve. So we can call this equation 1, we can call this equation 2. So we don't see the variables being the same, so let's get rid of this one for a change. So let's multiply the entire top equation by the 2, which is this 2, and the entire bottom equation by the 4, which is this 4. So we multiply. So 3A times 2 will give us 6A, plus 4B times 2 will give us 8B, and that is equal to 5.20 times 2, that will give us 10.40. Then we multiply the entire bottom equation by 5. So 5A times 4 will give us 20A, plus 2B times 4 will give us 8B. That is equal to 4.6 times 4 would give us 18.40. And now we see these two are the same, so we can subtract the top equation from the bottom ones. So we'll have 6A subtract 20A plus 8B subtract 8B, and that is equal to 10.40 subtract 18.40. So 6A subtract 20A would give us a negative 14A. That is equal to 8B subtract 8B, that will give you 0. So 10.40 subtract 18.40 would give us a negative 8. So to solve this equation, we'll say A is equal to negative 8 divided by negative 14. So when we work that out, we'll have A is equal to negative 8 divided by negative 14, so the negatives will cancel out. So 8 divided by 14 would give us 0.57142, and it keeps going on. So we can just say $0.57. That's our apple. And now since we have for A, we need to find for B. So we can say we substitute A equals 0.57 in equation either 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. So let's use equation 2 for a change. So into equation 2. So we'll have 5a, instead of a, we'll have 0.57 plus 2b is equal to 4.60. So 5 times 0.57 would give us 2.85 plus 2b is equal to 4.60. So this here is adding. So we solve for b. So this is adding. When we take it over to subtract, so we'll have 2b is equal to 4.60 subtract 2.85. So 2b is equal to 1.75. Hence b would be equal to, this 2 is multiplying the b. We take it over to divide. So 1.75 divided by 2. So b will be equal to 0.875. Hence b is equal to, since we deal with money, we can round off to 2 decimal place. So $0.88. So answer the question, we can say therefore 1 apple costs $0.57 and 1 orange costs $0.88. So of course we can check to make sure our answer is correct. So we can do this by putting in these answers, which is 0.50 as A and 0.88 as B, into the two equations, and you should get the answer that you have there. I mean, we rounded off, so it should be slightly off by a couple decimal places, slightly. So you can work it out to make sure you get the correct answer. But with that, this has brought us to the end of this video. So I trust that you now have a good understanding of how to solve simultaneous equations using worded problems. So I'll now leave you with these practice questions for you to do on your own. So you can find this exercise in the Volume 1 complete course with CSEC questions that you should have. Exercise 6R and pages 274 to 275. You'll have some exercise here that you can practice on your own. So make sure you practice, practice, and practice, and you should get the hang of this. Remember, the key is to identify variables to represent the things that you want to find. Then you come up with your two equations, and then you solve it using the best method that you see fit. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.